Right, Rangers, it's all kicking off at our beloved club. From players heading for the exit after getting the cold shoulder from the fans, to young stars catching the eye of Premier League scouts, to a gaffer under fire for letting the science geeks call the shots. This is one roller coaster you don't want to miss. I'll break down the drama around Cyriel Dessers, Hamza Igamane, and even a potential move involving that Patrick Bamford. Plus, is Tom Lawrence on his way out, and has Philippe Clement lost the plot? Stick around, there's plenty to chew on, and trust me, you'll want to hear it all. So, big Cyriel Dessers is ready to pack his bags and head for the exit at Rangers. Can you blame him, though? The poor lad's been the target of the fans' frustrations, and let's be honest, his performances haven't exactly made you jump out of your seat at Rangers. Just 3 league goals between August and November. Not quite what we had in mind for our leading striker. Hamza Igamane has been the one stealing the spotlight recently, and with Danilo back to full fitness, Dessers is looking more surplus than a spare pie at halftime. Saint Etienne fancy giving him an escape route, apparently. But here's the kicker. We were after £4 million for him in the summer. £4 million. Who are we kidding? Now, after his form's taken a nosedive, we'll likely be lucky to scrape together much less than that. So here's the real question, mate. Was Dessers a flop because he just isn't good enough, or did we fans and the pressure of Rangers' shirt destroy whatever confidence he had left? Have your say and don't hold back. Hamza Igamane, talk about a lad finding his feet and then some, from struggling to even make the squad at the start of the season to now having Premier League scouts camping out at Rangers. That's the sort of turnaround every player dreams of. You've got to hand it to him, though. His impact has been undeniable. Goals against the likes of Tottenham and a stunning brace against Motherwell. That's what we call stepping up when it matters. And now Morocco's sniffing about, ready to hand him his first senior call-up. Fair play to the lad. You don't get spotted by World Cup semi-finalists unless you're doing something special. But here's where it gets tricky. The Premier League lot: West Ham, Bournemouth, Brentford, Fulham, and even Everton, they're circling like sharks. So the £1 million question, or should we say multi-million pound. Do Rangers cash in while his stock's sky high, or do we hold on to him and hope he helps us fire on all cylinders for the rest of the season? Would selling him now be brilliant business, or another short-sighted mistake? Over to you. So it looks like Rangers are sniffing around for striking reinforcements, and Leeds United might just do us a favor. This Joe Gelhardt lad, young, hungry, and itching for first-team football, could be a proper addition. Bamford, a bit of a gamble that. A man plagued with injuries and inconsistency, but if Leeds are keen to send him away, you'd think we'd only go there if it's a proper bargain. The January window's shaping up to be pivotal, especially with the season being more up and down than your mate's emotions during an Old Firm derby. Sitting 12 points behind Celtic. It's grim, isn't it? We need something special to close that gap, and maybe Gelhardt's youthful energy could spark a change up top. Then again, if he comes in, does that mean we're showing Dessers or even Hamza Igamane the door? And there's the rub. And would bringing in Gelhardt or Bamford genuinely strengthen us, or are we just shuffling the deck chairs on a sinking ship? If Igamane's sold to fund it, are we robbing ourselves of a future star for a short-term gamble? Your call, Rangers faithful. Tom Lawrence, another one whose time at Rangers has been as cursed as a pub TV during a Celtic match. Injuries have wrecked what could have been a solid contribution, and now it sounds like the club are ready to cash in. If anyone's buying, 5 goals and 2 assists from 15 games isn't terrible, but when you're more likely to spot him on the physio table than on the pitch, it's no wonder the powers that be are looking to move him on. But here's where it stings. His contract's up at the end of the season. Do we flog him now for whatever we can get or risk letting him leave for nothing in the summer. It's a classic Rangers dilemma these days, selling players to fund moves for new ones, and it's not just Lawrence on the chopping block. Dessers, Yilmaz, Matondo, all of them could be on their way if a decent bid comes in. So, here's one to spark a bit of debate. Does selling Lawrence and the others show we're building for the future, or is it just proof we're skint and clutching at straws? Tell me, are we strengthening or sinking? Keith Jackson's gone in two-footed on Philippe Clement, hasn't he? Calling the man out for letting the boffins in. The lab coats dictate his team selection. I mean, it's hard to disagree when you hear he benched Nico Raskin and Václav Cerny, two players who could have turned the tide against Motherwell and St Mirren. Instead, we get Cyriel Dessers, who's about as reliable as the Glasgow weather, leading the line because he was apparently well rested. The real kicker, Clement knew he'd messed up. That second half scramble with Igamane coming on to bag a brace was basically Clement saying, "All right, lads, I got it wrong." But by then the damage was done. Drop points again, 14 behind Celtic, and now staring down the barrel of a potential 17-point gap if things don't go our way in the derby. It's not exactly the stuff of Rangers folklore, is it? So the big question, has Clement already lost the dressing room, or are the White Coats pulling the strings at Rangers now? Is it time for the gaffer to grow a backbone and remind everyone whose name is on the door? Over to you. Let me dive in properly this time and give you the full breakdown. Ikram Reyners is the name on everyone's lips as Rangers look to breathe life into their stuttering season. With 14 points behind Celtic and our striking options delivering more frustration than finishes, January's transfer window could be make or break. Enter Reyners, the South African hitman who's been banging in the goals for fun, 13 in 18 matches this season. Proper numbers, those. Reports from South Africa claim Rangers have already made inquiries about the lad. He's been labelled an excellent finisher, and his last campaign with Stellenbosch was just as impressive, netting 17 times. If that isn't tempting, what is? But here's where it gets interesting. Mamelodi Sundowns, who only signed him this summer, won't let him go without a fight. They're apparently demanding £2.4 million for his services. Not exactly loose change for Rangers right now. To add fuel to the fire, Sundowns manager Miguel Cardoso recently benched Reyners after he'd been on a 6-game scoring spree. His excuse, the hectic schedule and player condition. Sound familiar? A bit too much like Clement's reasoning for dropping players in our 2-all draw with Motherwell. You wonder if Cardoso is genuinely protecting his player or just trying to cool the transfer talk brewing around him. Now, this potential deal has a lot riding on it. If we manage to shift Cyriel Dessers, who's apparently catching interest from League One clubs, we'd have the funds to make this happen. But is it worth the gamble? Reyners hasn't played in Europe, and adapting to the physicality of the Scottish Premiership could be a big ask. So here's the real question for you, mate. Is splashing out £2.4 million on a relatively unproven striker the key to turning this season around, or are we just rolling the dice on another costly experiment? If you haven't seen yesterday's video yet, you're missing out. Explosive news about Rangers that'll leave every fan stunned. Go check it out now.